There's been a lot of talk about the Buffy relaunch cancellation. Is it something to grieve, or did the fan base and the team behind it actually dodge a bullet? Sarah Michelle Gellar called out an executive for bragging about not being a fan of the original. She implies that having someone like that in charge is what led to this outcome. At the same time, many people feel the leaked pilot script offers a clearer explanation of why the project was canceled. Some lines from that script were widely shared, and because of them, the new Buffy stands accused of pushing a feminist agenda of being woke. In this video, I want to take a look at those lines and compare them to a scene from the original Buffy that explores a very similar theme. My goal is to show that the topic itself isn't the problem, but the way it's handled is. And through that comparison, I want to give my take on why audiences increasingly feel disrespected and annoyed by Hollywood. Let's dive in. In the leaked pilot script, a female character complains to a male character about him not defending her. He replies, "I didn't want to take away your agency, babe. You hate it when I dim your light." She responds, "That is so you, trying to weaponize my feminism against me. I'm going home." Another often quoted line is, "Welcome to being a girl. It's a lot." Okay, so let's say you're a person who genuinely cares about women's issues. My question is simple. Does this exchange make you feel something? Does it make you feel seen? Does it validate your experiences? I don't really think it can. And to explain why, let's look at a scene from the original series. In season 3, after turning 18, Buffy has to undergo a test. In the episode Helpless, she's unknowingly injected with adrenal suppressors that temporarily take away her powers. She doesn't know what's happening or why, but she is aware that her strength is gone. Then, this happens.
How much for a lap dance for me and my buddy?
Yeah.
When I first watched this, I was about 12. I couldn't have explained why it hit me, but it did. It stayed with me. Not because someone said something wise or moral, but because it made me feel something. Now, doesn't this scene deal with the exact same idea as the line, "Welcome to being a girl, it's a lot"? So why didn't this scene make people cringe? The difference comes down to one thing, and that is storytelling. The one thing Hollywood depends on, even when it tries to sidestep its importance. Because one approach makes you feel it, and the other just tells you what to think. Let me elaborate. When the main character is a hero with superpowers, the viewer feels powerful too. At the very least, it's a wonderful form of escapism, but it can also be inspiring. It can make you feel like you can strive for more in your own life, just by borrowing that sense of power from a fictional hero. When that power is stripped away from the hero, it's stripped away from the viewer too. What happened here was a sudden loss of security we normally felt while walking in the shoes of this powerful hero we'd identified with. For me, it felt like the world turned upside down. But if you think about it, why should it feel that way? In that moment, Buffy may not be all-powerful anymore, but she isn't more vulnerable than any regular person, any regular girl walking home alone at night. Then why was this common and recognizable situation so memorable when it was about Buffy? If identifying with her meant feeling powerful and safe, having that taken away made the vulnerability feel more immediate, more acute, more painful. By placing a familiar, everyday situation into a different context, the scene transforms how we experience it. It speaks to the audience the way it should, through emotion created by good storytelling. There's no lecture, no explanation. We're not told what to think or feel. We're allowed to experience it. As I said, I didn't understand why this scene stuck with me as a kid, but it did, and that says a lot. Now imagine a different version. Instead of that moment, we get a scene where Willow says to Xander, "It's hard to be a girl. It's dangerous to walk alone at night." Would I remember that? I don't think so. Which brings me to why I wanted to make this video. People don't want to be lectured. But that doesn't mean creators can't talk about what they care about. Of course they can. It's actually very simple. Whatever you want to say through your craft. Art can evoke empathy. It can make people aware of experiences outside their own. It can shift perspective. It can draw attention to things people might otherwise ignore. But that's not the same as lecturing. Not everyone can do this well. It takes skill, talent, and craft to guide an audience's attention and emotions while still leaving space for them to draw their own conclusions. Making a moral declaration, on the other hand, doesn't require skill or talent. Anyone can do that. When creators bypass show don't tell, they're not elevating their message, they're diminishing their craft. And in the process, they're underestimating their audience. They position themselves as voices that must be listened to without earning that by telling a compelling story. When political or ideological ideas become the goal in themselves, when they justify the existence of a piece of art, then the craft becomes irrelevant. Talent becomes irrelevant. Storytelling becomes irrelevant. It suggests the public attention should go to anyone who believes they're moral enough to tell others what to think and feel, often quite literally and often in a way that's
quite charmless.
Good storytelling is far more powerful than simply declaring your truth. Trying to replace the former with the latter doesn't just show artistic weakness. It suggests that creators are forgetting what made their craft powerful and valuable in the first place. It suggests reaching into the soul of the audience and giving your best shot at satisfying the eternal human hunger for stories is not a worthwhile endeavor. Why would someone bother with all that when you can declare your wise thoughts literally, feel very intellectual, and call yourself an artist? Craft should come first. Storytelling should come first. As a hardcore Buffy fan, I genuinely hope that if a revival ever happens, it honors the legacy by putting story and character first. I rewatched Buffy several times over the last few years, and every time I return to it, I notice something new. The show never really loses its charm. The characters still feel alive, the emotional moments still work, and even the quieter scenes remain memorable years later. A lot of the emotional and thematic work happens gradually through character dynamics, recurring motives, small moments, and long-term development that only becomes obvious when you look back on the series as a whole. And I think that's part of what makes the show feel so rewatchable and evergreen. There's something very enduring about this series, and I think that's obvious from the fact that people are still discussing it decades after it originally aired. In upcoming videos, I'm going to explore the narrative structure, character development, and storytelling techniques that make Buffy such an interesting series to revisit and analyze, and that genuinely make it one of the most compelling examples of long-form television storytelling. So if you like this video and enjoy this kind of
witless prattle.
subscribe for more.